Another chapter in Japan's motorsport history is about to come to an end. The Fuji Speedway circuit will be closing its gates for a major renovation. Along with the Suzuka circuit in the western region of Japan, Fuji Speedway has been the sacred place for Japan's motorsport. The 1.4-kilometer straightaway fostered many of the fastest cars of that time and staged countless historical battles. The high-speed character of the circuit attracted the speed addicts from all over the world. In the 37 years of its illustrious operation, the track staged over 3,000 races. To commemorate the success of the Fuji Speedway's history, BMI brings you the Fuji Fast. 4 years after Suzuka Circuit, the Fuji Speedway opened its gates in 1966 to house the Japan Grand Prix for 4 consecutive years. While Toyota and Nissan battled for prestige in reigning the domestic motorsports scene, the private teams were also present, giving the Grand Prix series more reason to attract many fans from all over. In 1976 and 77, Fuji Speedway hosted the F1 Japan Grand Prix. The Fuji Grand Champion Series was one of the most popular races of that time. We asked former F1 driver Satoru Nakajima to recall his memories of Fuji Speedway and the Grand Champion Series.
When I think of Fuji, I recall the Grand Champion Series. I mean, those are the races that really remain in my memory. I think it was in 1985 when it was raining on qualifying day. Driver Hoshino and I were clocking best lap times on almost every lap. Near the end of the morning session, I crashed at the 300R corner, and that was it for me. The afternoon brought dry conditions, so I ended up starting from the very last row on race day. It was also raining on the final day, and I managed to catch up with Hoshino-san despite my last row start and even passed him to take the top position. But after a few laps at the top, my car broke down with transmission problems and ended up retiring. That's the race that comes to mind the most about Fuji Speedway.
Fuji was the track where the famous Group C races were held. Let's hear from Mr. Masanori Sakiya about his days at Fuji.
You know, I was more or less raised at Fuji. I started racing here. On my debut race, it was raining, and on my very first lap, I flipped over my car at the 100R corner. I was involved with the Group C races from the very beginning. I recall how domestic racing cars were trying to catch up with the speed of Porsches in the beginning. But as the years passed, Porsches were no longer rivals. Japanese cars really evolved from the races, and I enjoyed being a part of the development years.
Toyota and Nissan's works teams held many memorable races to mark battles in a minute 14 seconds range on this 4.4-kilometer track. Let's hear from Hasemi-san.
These cars bring back lots of memories. I'm amazed with how they kept all these great cars here, especially this Group C car. Since it was still the early 90s when I drove this car, I remember it very well. The final racing day was more like a contest of how economical and efficient you can run the car. But the qualifying day before the finals, this was something else. We'd go out with one lap only special tires with full boost pressure. It was just an all-out day for the drivers. In the final races, the cars were controlled to output only about 850 horsepower. But on the qualifying day, the cars were firing 1,000 horsepower plus. In the last year of the Group C series, I was allowed to go out twice with maximum boost. I recall my team staff telling me to just squeeze everything out, which was about 1,200 horsepower. I mean, The dynos couldn't measure that much back then. What a thrill it was. On qualifying day, we were allowed to use as many sets of tires as we wanted. So, in an hour of qualifying runs, I would use about 7 sets of tires. These tires were only good for 1 lap. In those days, we had blanket-like equipment called the tire warmer, which we wrapped around each tire to warm it up. I personally like to have my front tires at 80 degrees Celsius and the rear at around 60 degrees. I'd go out from the pit and come out full throttle from the last corner to begin my time attack. By the time I crossed the finish line on this 1-lap time attack, my tires were ready to blow any second. These tires were built to clock amazing times for 1 lap and could never be substituted with other tires which could last more than 1 lap. At Fuji, with this car being a 5-speed, I would come out from the last corner in 4th gear and shift up to top gear immediately. The acceleration would last for the entire straightaway, even into the first corner. The acceleration just would not stop. You're blasting through a wall of air going at 390 kilometers plus, and then you brake hard into the first corner. The cornering speeds were also unbelievable. I used to tremble from excitement after the qualifying round, going full out with 1,200 horsepower. Not too many drivers have experienced this kind of power, including myself, maybe a few invited drivers from overseas, Hashino-san and Sakiya, who was driving a Toyota. The F1 machines of today are no match for these Group C cars. I'm sure even Schumacher has never driven a car like this.
Here's another driver who experienced the 1 minute 14 seconds range on this track.
I think it was 10 years ago, in 1993 when I captured the pole position in the F3000 series. The recorded time was 1 minute 14.7 seconds, and is still the course record here at Fuji. I think I was the only driver in the series who marked the 14 seconds range. It was right after it rained. The record line was dry, but the rest of the track was still wet, which is usually very risky. I'm the type of person that enjoys being on the edge. It helped me concentrate even more. If you go off the record line, you're bound to spin out of the course. Coming out of the A corner, I was in second, then third, fourth, and I was going full throttle through the 100R corner, right to the hairpin. My speed was somewhere around 240 kilometers per hour. I wasn't scared because I was extremely focused and determined to clock the best time. I was actually enjoying myself rather than feeling any fear. The F3000 machines didn't have the highest top speeds, maybe around 310 kilometers per hour. But the cornering speeds were unbelievable. Now that Fuji will be changing the course layout, it's an honor to be able to hold the course record of the current track forever. I'm glad that I didn't hold back anything at that time, and it's a proud accomplishment.
One of the most legendary cars in Fuji Speedway's history is the Skyline GTR, aka Hakosuka GTR. Of its incredible 58 victory races, 32 took place at Fuji Speedway. The Hakosuka GTR raced against rotary-powered cars like the Capella, and the Savannah RX-3, engraving glorious battle records in Japanese motorsports history. Many fans still remember the high-pitched exhaust note of the GTR. With a total of 7 victories in the Hakosuka GTR, Motoharu Kurosawa drives the 4.4-kilometer course for the last time. The Hakosuka GTR's final laps at Fuji Speedway. Gon-san knows that the Hakosuka GTR doesn't need much commentary. The exhaust note of the car speaks for itself.
まあ昔ねもう散々やったんで、悔いはないけども今更になって63になってまたこういう幸せな時間を持てたっていうのはありがとうございます。
In 1998, Best Motoring held a battle at Fuji for the first time. Since then, we've brought numerous cars out here to see their performance. Through all the battles here at Fuji, we were able to recognize many issues that the domestic cars had to solve. Professor Nakaya explains some of our findings.
At Best Motoring, you might realize that most of our video shoots and battles are staged using the Tsukuba circuit. There are several circuits in Japan, but I would like to explain why Tsukuba has been an ideal place for us to test various cars. In this chart, we have average speeds of various circuits in Japan, taking the NSX S0's lap times as a reference. At the very bottom is the Tsukuba circuit with an average speed of 114.7 kilometers per hour. This is Sportsland Sugo, this is Suzuka circuit, and this here is Fuji Speedway. As you can see, the average speeds are faster on these tracks. There is a difference of about 40 kilometers per hour between Tsukuba and Fuji in average speeds. In fact, this slower average speed at Tsukuba was ideal for testing domestic cars that were limited to 180 km/h speed regulators. But with European cars that are capable of cruising at 250 km/h, we needed a high-speed circuit to test at, and Fuji Speedway was the perfect place for that. As best motoring, we've done several battles here at Fuji, including some mini endurance races. I think we started using this track from time to time since 1998. In recent years, when we began to test cars like the Evo, GTR, and the NSX that can go well above 180 km/h by cutting the speed regulator, we frankly couldn't bring out the full potential of these cars at Tsukuba anymore. This is why we started to come to Fuji Speedway to test max speeds and lap times. According to our past battle and test records, the Ferrari F355 clocked the fastest lap time at 1 minute 47 seconds. Surprisingly, later the Lancer Evolution 7, both RS and GSRs, and the NSX clocked the 47-second range, coming very close to the Ferrari's record time. The Skyline GTR can also run here in the 48-second range. As for the max speed test, the Ferrari tops that again with a max speed of 252 km/h. Domestic cars with the 280 horsepower regulation can reach speeds of about 240 km/h. The maximum speeds of most domestic cars are more or less in line because of the horsepower regulation. If domestic cars were to, in truth, catch up with Ferrari's performance, these regulations must be lifted. We were able to reconfirm this fact through many battles fought here at Fuji Speedway. In the past, we were often here in the cooler time of the year, like March. Therefore, many of the cars were able to clock impressive times. But today, we'll be running the cars in late summer heat, so I'm assuming the lap times will be a bit slower. But then again, the Lancer has evolved to the Evo 8, and we have the NSX Type R here. Also, we brought the latest production cars from Ferrari and Porsche, so we should have a very interesting battle coming up.
For the final battle on the 4.4-kilometer Fuji Speedway course, we've gathered elite European cars and the fastest JDM machines. Sayonara Fuji Speedway battle. The starting grid is the reverse pole based on power-weight ratio. At the pole is the R34 GTR. In May of 2001, the GTR seized the battle against the NSX S0 at Fuji Speedway. The driver is Takeshi Tsuchiya.
最後の富士バトルということで、ちょっとブーストが上がりにくいっていうのがちょっと抱えてるんですけど、最後ということで楽しみたいと思います。
Second grid is the Evo 8. The predecessor Evo 7 RS holds the course record at Fuji Speedway. With improved aerodynamics and a 6-speed transmission, Nakaya might be up for the win.
18年ぐらい前にね、初めてミラージュのアンメイクで富士を走って、でそれ以来三菱の車乗ってるんですけど、今日これが本当に富士走るの最後になるので、バトルも大事ですけど、その以前に昔のことを懐かしみながら楽しみたいと思います。
The fastest domestic car in the Tsukuba circuit, the Impreza WRX. Although this course has never been a good match with this car, let's see how it does today with the most powerful engine in its class and supreme handling. Yamaji is in the driver's seat.
インプレッサー、もう国内4区の代表格です。ここ富士高速スピードでもね、インプレッサーの速さを証明したいと思います。
Entering the Fuji battle for the first time is the second generation NSX Type R. With improved aerodynamics and lower gear ratios, let's see if it can prove itself to be the fastest domestic sports car. Piloting the car is Takuya.
トヨタはね、フェラーリとかポルシェに比べるとちょっと遅いみたいですが、なんとかブレーキとそれから旋回性の良さで、なんとかついていって最後は勝ちたいと思います。
The Ferrari 355 F1. The 6-speed model holds the best motoring course record on this track. How will the F1 Matic 380 horsepower perform? Kinoshita at the controls.
当然ライバルはモデラと GT3 でしょうけども、ちょっとねブレーキがもうすでにアタックでフェード気味なんですよ。ですからバトンの方はちょっと暗いかもしれないですけど、まあ音で聞いてください。音で頑張ります。
Ferrari 360 Modena F1. First time at Fuji today with 400 horses behind the driver's seat. How will it do against the Porsche? Hattori in the driver's seat.
この富士のね 300R 本当 GT でいうと雨の GT を走ってるぐらいの感じで今日さっき2周走ってきましたけど決勝どうなるか。
At the very back of the grid is the Porsche 911 GT3. This car beat the NSXR in Tsukuba, but it didn't clock the best lap time. Will it perform up to everyone's expectations today? Motoharu Gansan Kurosawa driving the Porsche.
まあ多分僕が楽勝でしょう。まあ、とにかくいいバトルをね、勝ちとか負けるよりもいいバトルを見せたいなと思ってます。
Sayonara Fuji Speedway battle. And they're off. NSX Type R dashes off, and the GT3 showing some power right from the start. The NSX and the Evo side by side for top position already. Let's check out the replay. The lights are on. And it seems like the Ferrari stumbled a bit at the start. Did the F1 transmission have an effect at the start?
スタートみんな遅いな。
いやポルシェの伸びは半端じゃねえな。
ああ、全部に抜かれてしまう。
With a great start, Takuya's Type R cuts inside the Evo. The Evo trying to hang in there, but takes the second position. Here we are at the second corner exit. Whoa, the GT3 already locks onto the Evo. A braking duel at the A corner. There goes the GT3. The next 100R corner is one of the highlights of this Fuji course.
あっという間にラルさんに追いつくな。ここの高速の旋回はなかなかトラクションかかって速いな、インプレッサー。
Can't get rid of the Evo that easily. The Evo shortens the gap between the GT3 with great braking. How's the acceleration?
この伸びが全然違うな、立ち上がり。
回転が上がらない。
どうしたの？
Yeah, what is wrong with the GTR? Engine trouble? Leading the pack is the Type R. For maximum speed on the straightaway, the exit speed out of the B corner is the key.
この上りできそうだな、ポルシェが。
Gansan in the GT3, stalking its prey. The GT3 jumps into the slipstream of the Type R. They're side by side.
よし、ポルシェのスリップで後ろを引き離すぞ。もうスリップ効くよ、効くよ。
The Modena is up to third place, already passing 2 cars.
どうしようもないでしょ。スリップ使ってもどんどん離れてきちゃう。
走ってたいけどちょっと壊れそうなんでピットインします。
We're in the second lap. Braking contest at the first corner entry.
すごいブレーキ速い。
Look at him go. That's a bit too far in, aren't we? The Impreza is still hanging in.
なんでこんな違うの立ち上がり。とにかくこのレスポンスがいいね、エンジン自体の。
It's hard to see the difference between the Evo and the Impreza at Tsukuba, but it looks like the Impreza has a better power unit. Driving the Modena seems very demanding. Even Hattori, who competes in the Formula Nippon, is being cautious. The GT3 is fast, but it seems like the Type R is braking better. Both the Impreza and the Evo seem to be at equal strength with the Modena in this section. At the 300R corner, these cars will be going at 200 kilometers per hour plus. While still feeling the G from the corner before, the drivers have to enter the B corner, slamming the brakes to instantly reduce the speed to under 100 kilometers per hour. The NSXR locking on to the GT3.
300あるとね、最終コーナーがちょっと恐ろしい、正直。このぐらい抜かないと、ケツ出る。
What about the Ferrari 355?
最終コーナーでも滑るからね。
With 400 horses, the Ferrari is showing some serious velocity. The NSX is in range for the Ferrari now. So what's the difference between the NSX and the GT3?
ブレーキはでも NSX の方がいいぞ。多分 1,2 コーナーもこっちの方がいい。
The Impreza chasing the Modena. How's the suspension set up on that car, Yamaji-san?
すごい G だよ、体に感じる G は。
How's the Modena?
危ない危ない危ない。ギリギリすぎだっつうの、ブレーキ。
国産でこんなダンパーに妥協しない足回りなんかないよ。
The Type R sandwiched between the European supercars, the Porsche and the Ferrari. This is becoming a super battle. Is it the heat? The Evo is only running in the minute 51 seconds range.
よーし、ランサー見えてきたな。
Here's the straightaway. Will the Ferrari 355 F1 catch up? Ferrari in the slipstream.
この辺からね、ギャーってくるんだよね、ギャーっと。ほらほらほらほら。
Yeah, there goes the 355. The 355 in 5th place now. Hey, you're not braking?
ああ、入っちゃったよ。ブレーキ。
In the final lap, how far will the Modena go?
ここも2速使わず3速で行ってるんですが、100R がね、ちょっと。
多分ここの 100R なんかも NSXR の方が速いだろうな、タイプ R の方が。ちょっとリアがよれてきた。
Gansan's GT3 breezing through the course, just like he said. Trying to tame the wild stallion, Hattori is now serious. Modena breathing down on the NSX Type R.
ここがよれるな。オーバーステアが出てきた。やばい。
Will the Modena pass the NSX?
よし、やっぱ速い。速いけど。
なんかエンジンが変な音してるぞ。あ、オーバーヒートだ。
400 horses prancing by.
よし。
Despite the hot weather condition, the GT3 wins the battle with a record-breaking time. The Modena and the NSX also showed some serious speed. The Impreza was impressive, clocking a minute 49 seconds range in this heat.
なんか最後続けてガス欠症状が出たんだけど、ゲージはまだ半分以上あるんだよね。でもガス欠症状が出るってことはものすごいコーナリングフォースなんだねこれ。
私は今の 100R なんか F3000 で予選タイヤの頃はもう全開で行ってましたけどね。全開で行くとかえってタイム遅かったりしたんですよね。全開でいくとやっぱりスターリング切る角度が大きくなってね、それで価格抵抗とかダウンコースがバランス崩れてドライバー一生懸命頑張ってるのにかえって遅いっていうこともありましたね。
いやレーシングカーとやっぱ違ってさ、ノーマルって基本的にスピード出せば浮いてくる方向だからステアリングも軽くなっちゃうのね。だからね結構ストレートでも気合い入れて走ってる感じだもん。
2年後の改修に向けてこの現在の富士の 4.4 キロこのコースが30年ほど続いたんですけど、それのファイナルバトル終わりました。なんか僕から見るとバトルじゃなくてダンサーの一人スポーツドライブみたいな感じで終わりましたけど、
国産車もね280馬力でずっと大体優勝してたじゃないですか。富士はもうこの富士最後の時になって会社が400馬力とか300馬力とか当たり前になって、もう本当にこういうサーキットですね、日本の国産の280馬力でなんか限界感じましたね。
そうだろう、俺ね 2,3 日前ね某自動車メーカーの専務になった人と話したんだけど、この280馬力規制だとかね5ナンバー枠を撤廃しないと日本の今後の車がね進化していかないと。
本来だったらもう180キロでずっとリミッター当てながら走るサーキットなわけですよ。なんかそれ考えるともうヨーロッパの車でものすごい差がついてる感じよ。
だって今騒いでる向こうの辺の方の国と違ってさ、日本はなんで外車が良くて国産車がいけないんだみたいなね。
日本の場合180キロの中でちゃんと走ればいいっていうベアリングとかいろんな最近制度を考えちゃいますから、どうしてもそれを外してブレーキのバランス崩しちゃったりとかハンドリングをねバランス崩したりとかしてるから。
We asked the drivers their final thoughts of Fuji Speedway.
思い出はねちょっと言えばキリがないんですけど、やっぱりそのドライバーだけじゃなくてこういうスピードが出るサーキットっていうのは車を育てるのにもいい環境かなっていう。もちろんドライバーは育つんだけども道具を作っていくのにもこういうサーキットはやっぱり良かったんじゃないかなと、日本の歴史の中で。
まあ富士といえばやっぱりこのストレートを利用したこう抜き合いみたいなね、そういう意味で、F3 やってる頃のインター F3 インターリーグかな、ここのはね本当楽しかったですね。
まあ30年ぐらい続いたこのコースには敬意を払って次の新しいコースにまた期待したいなとそう思います。
ストレートエンドのスリップから抜けてたバトル、これドライバーもそうなんですけども観客にとってもすごくいいサーキットだなと、そんな印象があります。
よくね子供の頃見たものがすごく自分が小さいと大きく見えて、僕もここ実は初めて走った時バカでかくてとんでもないコースに来ちゃったななんていう思い出がありましたけど、年々車のポテンシャルも上がってスピードも速くなっていくにつれてこの1キロのねストレートも気がついてみたらそんなに長く感じなくなってたりして、なんかそういう意味では、自分のね成長もここではすごく、感じられたりしてすごく思い出深いコースですね。
ちょっとこれがちょっと回収されちゃうっていうのは寂しい気もするんですけど、また新しいサーキット多分すごくいいサーキットになると思うんで、そういう風に期待したいと思います。
ガンさんも言ってたように非常にスピード高いコースなんで、日本の目がどちらかというとあんまり見て見ぬふりをしてきてたと思うんですけども、ベストモータリングでこうやって引きずり出してきてたんでね、無視もできない車になってきたと思うんですね。で2年後また回収されて、どんな形になるか分かんないですけども、ストレートはこういう長いのはまた残るっていうふうに聞いてますんで、ハイスピードな特性とハンドリングと両方見れる新しいサーキットにね生まれ変わるのを楽しみにしていたいと思います。
The main gate welcomed motorsport fans for 37 years. The grandstand packed excited spectators who witnessed numerous historical battles. Now everything is becoming history. With plans of hosting the F1 Grand Prix, Fuji Speedway will reopen in 2005. with a brand new course layout. It'll be a major renovation, including new constructions of the grandstands and pit areas. As the history of the Fuji Speedway becomes legendary, the track goes into a time of serenity to prepare for more excitement and thrills in the years to come. The Christmas tree will stay off for a while, waiting for the time when it will light up the green light to start the races. Best Motoring bids farewell to the legendary Fuji Speedway until we meet again in 2005.